In the spring of 1996, someone sent Pepsi a check for $700,000. On the redemption form, he didn't choose a t-shirt or sunglasses, but instead wrote a single line: AV-8B Harrier fighter jet. He even cleared the lawn in his backyard, as if waiting for a fighter jet to be delivered. All of this started with a single television commercial. In May 1995, American television stations began airing Pepsi's new commercial frequently. The scene showed two high school students changing their gear: t-shirts, sunglasses, jackets, and with each change, subtitles appeared showing how many points are needed. The pace was fast-paced, typical of 1990s commercials. Until the last 10 seconds, when the scene suddenly changed to a roaring sound. At the school gate, an AV-8B Harrier fighter jet flew low overhead, and a teenager stepped down from the gangway, saying, "This is way better than the bus." The screen then displayed the text: Harrier fighter jet, 7 million points to redeem. Most people would just laugh. This was obviously exaggerated marketing. How could they possibly give you a fighter jet? The more the advertisement aired, the bigger the topic became, and Pepsi got all the results they wanted. But in Seattle, a young man didn't laugh. His name was John Leonard, born in 1975. His parents divorced when he was young, and his family was once in turmoil. He learned to rely on himself early on, delivering newspapers, running errands, and doing odd jobs. As an adult, he made a living doing manual labor and working as a mountain guide. The money was unstable, but he had a habit. Once he saw a rule, he wanted to follow it to the end. Initially, he also considered the fighter jet a joke. At community college, he saw a teaching assistant collecting soda bottle caps to accumulate points, and even joked about redeeming them for a fighter jet. Leonard laughed out loud. "Do you actually believe the advertisement?" A few days later, on a weekend, he was watching TV at home, and the commercial aired again. He stared at the last line, 7 million points, and a question suddenly popped into his mind. Where was the disclaimer? Based on experience, these kinds of commercials usually have a small line of text in the corner. He couldn't remember, so he simply got a VCR and recorded the entire commercial. Then he did something very stubborn. He played it back, paused it, slowed it down, and scanned through it frame by frame. The more he watched, the quieter he became, and the more excited he got. There was no clear disclaimer in the footage. He first checked the price of a Harrier fighter jet, over $30 million. Then he worked backward to figure out how to get 7 million points. One bottle of Pepsi earns 1 point. So 7 million points would require 7 million bottles. The number was so outrageous it made his scalp tingle. He actually tried drinking his way to the points at first. He and his mother drank for a few weeks before they couldn't take it anymore. Their bodies gave up first. More realistically, even if he could drink that much, he couldn't afford 7 million bottles. Leonard thought of someone: Todd Hoffman. Hoffman was well known in the mountaineering community, older, had run businesses, and made money. He looked casual on the outside, but was extremely logical in his actions. The kind of person who, if you give him one detail, will dig up the entire ledger. Leonard handed the videotape to Hoffman and explained his findings. Hoffman's first reaction was normal. "You're crazy. How could a big company make such a basic mistake? The disclaimer must be in the corner. You just didn't see it." So the two of them sat in front of the TV, watching it over and over again. They zoomed in, slowed it down, paused it, and even used a magnifying glass to look for small print. After watching for a long time, Hoffman fell silent and finally nodded. There was indeed no clear disclaimer in the footage, but Hoffman wasn't excited. He immediately asked 3 questions that brought the temperature down. First, how do you accumulate 7 million points? How much money would it cost? How much warehouse space would you need? How many people would you need to hire to move the bottles? Second, even if you did get the fighter jet, how would you receive it? Third, when does this promotion end? How big is the window of opportunity? Leonard went back to his research, and the more he calculated, the more despairing he became. If he relied entirely on buying soda to accumulate points, in addition to the cost of the drinks, he would also need to rent warehouses, hire people to move the bottles, and keep track of the points. The cost could easily reach several $1,000,000. Even more troublesome, the promotion could end at any time, and the advertisement didn't provide a reliable deadline. Just as the two were about to give up, Leonard spotted a Pepsi redemption poster outside a convenience store. He was about to leave when he suddenly noticed a line of small print in the corner. Points can also be purchased with cash. He stopped. The rules were clearly written. As long as you already had more than 15 points, the remaining points could be purchased with cash at the unit price. A calculation instantly flashed through Leonard's mind. 10 cents per point, 7 million points would be $700,000. To cross that threshold, he first bought a few bottles of soda to accumulate those 15 points. Then came the crucial step, using cash to make up the remaining points. $700,000, certainly not a small sum, but compared to a fighter jet worth over $30 million, it seemed like a glaring loophole. Leonard rushed home and called Hoffman, his voice trembling. "No warehouse, no drinking soda, no millions of dollars. For just $700,000, we can get the plane according to the rules." Hoffman didn't immediately get carried away. He asked Leonard to write down the rules, numbers, and conditions one by one to make sure nothing was overlooked. After confirming everything, he made a very Hoffman-esque decision. If these were the rules, then they would follow the rules to the letter. Soon, Hoffman wrote a check for a little over $700,000. The bulk of it was for buying points, plus a small amount for shipping and other fees. There was no fighter jet option on the redemption form. They simply wrote AV-8B Harrier fighter jet on it and checked the box. At the end of March 1996, the check and redemption application were sent to Pepsi's redemption center. Leonard went home and cleaned his backyard lawn, like he was waiting for a super-fast delivery. Then came the most agonizing part: waiting. He checked the mailbox every day, and then checked again a little while later. He looked up at the sky, but there was nothing there. Until early May 1996, a letter with the Pepsi logo appeared in the mailbox. Leonard rushed into the house and tore open the envelope. The letter was very polite. "Thank you for participating, but the advertisement was just a joke, and the fighter jet could not be redeemed." The check was returned, along with 2 free soda coupons as an apology. Leonard was furious. He had sent a check for $700,000, and they sent him back 2 bottles of soda. Meanwhile, PepsiCo had already had a meltdown internally. The check had been passed around the company, finally ending up in the conference room. Everyone looked at the amount first, then at the redemption item, a fighter jet.no1 laughed. Only the legal team was asking, what exactly was written in the advertisement? What exactly did the rules allow? Leonard prepared to sue. But before he could get things going, the phone rang. The reporter on the other end said, "PepsiCo is suing you first in New York." It took Leonard a few seconds to realize this wasn't about whether or not to redeem the prize, but about who would get their version of the story out first. PepsiCo acted quickly. They filed a lawsuit, requesting the court to confirm that the advertisement did not constitute an enforceable contractual offer. Leonard and Hoffman could only follow the procedure and countersue. The media quickly followed suit. An ordinary young man challenging a giant corporation with the rules. The headline was naturally explosive. To mitigate the damage, PepsiCo tried to negotiate. In the summer of 1996, Leonard and Hoffman were summoned to PepsiCo headquarters. Leonard had specially bought a suit, as if he were going to witness a major life event. Hoffman was dressed much more casually, like someone there to close a deal as quickly as possible. A row of lawyers sat in the conference room. No one exchanged pleasantries for long, and they went straight to the point. Stop asking for the fighter jet. PepsiCo's offer was straightforward. Take the cash and end this. The offer kept increasing, and finally, a slip of paper was handed over. $750, tumult. The moment the slip of paper was handed over, the air went silent. Hoffman gave Leonard the choice. Take the money and leave, or continue to demand the fighter jet. Leonard held the slip of paper, silent for a long time. Finally, he looked up and said he didn't want the money. Then he tore up the slip of paper on the spot. With that tearing of the paper, the negotiation ended. Everyone in the room understood. From now on, the only option left was court. In court, the arguments were constantly narrowed down. One side argued, the rules were written, the check was sent, and the process was completed. The other side argued, this was advertising exaggeration. No rational person would consider a fighter jet a redeemable prize. The final judgment hinged on the reasonable person standard. A reasonable person would not believe that $700,000 could buy a military fighter jet worth tens of millions of dollars. Therefore, the advertisement did not constitute an enforceable contractual offer, and Pepsi was not obligated to deliver the fighter jet. After the verdict, the fighter jet, of course, never arrived. Leonard returned to his normal life, continuing to work and live his life. Hoffman also returned to his business and mountaineering circles, as if the incident had never happened. Only the lawn in Leonard's backyard, which had been meticulously cleaned, slowly grew back. And that line on the TV screen, 7 million points to redeem, remained in the memories of many people, frozen in the last 10 seconds.